Welcome to the HU Move Makers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Hello and welcome to the HU Move Maker podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Mercer, School of Business, class of 2003, where we highlight folks in Howard culture that are doing big things. Today we got a very special guest on the show, talented vocalist from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Been singing since he was 3 years old. Shout out to Helen, 3 degrees in the Delfonics. This brother's internationally known. You might have heard his song Words, or Dance the Night Away, or Don't Throw Our Love Away. But he specializes in soul, jazz, and dance. Got his bachelor's degree in music from Howard University. Was a part of that good old gospel choir. Performed on stage with Grammy winners like Take 6. I know we all heard of Take 6 and Ballad. But more importantly, man, he's also the founder of Soulful Sound Series. It's an R&B educational program, which I definitely want to get into. And he also co-founded a nonprofit, the Artists United, with his partner Lox Knox, educates youth on the entertainment industry. So without further ado, I want to welcome Ashley Scott to the show, man. Welcome to the show, brother.
Man, thank you. I'm glad to finally be here. I've been getting all these podcast emails for about the past 2 years. I'm like, I want to be on this thing. So I'm thankful that we're finally here, bro.
For sure, man. For sure, man. So when did you come in, Howard?
It's funny. I don't really tell age, but
oh man, wait.
I guess we're gonna have to break it down now. We're gonna have to break it down now. So my freshman year was 95. Came out in 2000. It was a amazing time. It was the best time of my life. The people that I met are still my lifelong friends and family to this day. Being a part of that Howard Gospel Choir, got a chance to do some great things like performing in front of President Clinton at that particular time at the Department of Agriculture, recording on the jazz ensemble CDs with my old professor, Webster Lewis, who's no longer here with us, and meeting Will Downing at Howard through Webster Lewis. And now I'm working with Will Downing at this very day. Wow. So a lot of things just kind of happened during those years. And I just look back and it's crazy. I haven't really been to a homecoming in probably almost a decade, maybe, but every chance I get to DC and I step back on my foot on that campus, that's a homecoming in itself. You know what I mean? So
something about that energy, man, when you step back on at the Mecca, man, you just feel it as soon as the plane lands. You're like, oh man, you take that drive up Georgia Ave, you just start.
You park right there on Euclid Street, you walk up the hill, and as soon as you step foot in front of that School of B, it's like you get chills. And it's almost like you're having the scene it's like an out-of-body experience where almost like, you know, the Christmas movie where you see where you're like the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future, and you're seeing your former self. It's like, I see myself running from Drew to the Calf in Blackburn, or at least when it was in Blackburn, sitting on the front steps of Fine Arts. I was actually there. Actually, Chadwick Boseman was actually in Drew with me my freshman year.
Wow.
And he stayed in Meridian with me in our sophomore year.
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
While we were cool, you know, we knew each other and stuff like that. We weren't the best of friends, but to see that situation come full circle, because my freshman year was the last year that was the last year that the Fine Arts was the College of Fine Arts at that time, right before they merged it with Arts and Sciences. And Chad was the one that kind of led that protest from that happening. So for it to come full circle, he's up there speaking at the graduation. And then that's when they announced that they're going to make the College of Fine Arts a college again and not under the Arts and Sciences bracket. That was a full circle moment for him. So, you know, I was just definitely happy for that moment, happy to see him have that moment. And so unfortunately, you know, we lost him, and to see the building now named after him, that's just a beautiful story, man.
Yeah, that's a dope story, man. Welcome to the Go Fish Village podcast. As a Chinese proverb says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. At Go Fish, our goal is to teach individuals just like you how to build wealth through real estate. you were at Howard, man. That was the '90s. That was a time where it was a ton of talent, especially in that in the arts. You know, everybody from Taraji to um Eric, what's his name?
Eric Roberson. Yeah, we were there at the
Eric
same time.
Roberson, yeah. And then Homecomings was epic. You got Biggie and Puff Daddy. I mean,
Yeah, they came a little bit
man.
before me, from what I hear. Biggie and Puffy came, a little bit before me, but it was, I mean, I can just tell you Howard is a tough audience when it came to shows. And the two shows I remember my freshman year, while it's crazy to say, but a lot of people that performed at Howard that Howard didn't like ended up becoming big stars.
Maxwell.
So
yeah,
that's the one I was at in spring of '96. I was there that night. And then Drew Hill, they came fall '95, and people were like, I mean, they just started taking like the Apollo and booing them like it was amateur night. It was cold blooded.
Yeah,
but,
man, I was there when Beanie Man got booed.
That's crazy.
Dolomite got booed. I mean, he was saying some ignorant stuff, but Howard,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Howard don't care, man.
No, they don't.
So coming from Philly, I mean, what made you choose Howard?
Had a lot of family that went there. One of my cousins came out in '89. An aunt came out back in like around '68. One of my cousins, he went to Howard Law, the same one from that aunt as well. He came out of Howard Law in '92. So DC's not too far from Philly. You know, you're able to kind of get home on the weekend if you wanted to on the bus or train. But again, family went there. It just had a great legacy, and it was a great place to be. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I made that decision.
That's what's up, man. Well, so paint the scene, man. When you arrive as a freshman on Howard's campus, I mean, what was it like?
It was life-changing. You know, I mean, I remember my mother crying when their car pulled away after dropping me off at Drew. But I mean, I moved in there. It was cool. Met some people on the floor. My roommate was cool. We're still cool to this day. Met some other, guys in the dorm. Being in Drew that first year, you really develop that brotherhood. You know what I mean? And again, you become lifelong friends. I'm still friends with majority of those people, or still somewhat in touch with a lot of folks. And it's just a beautiful experience. I was there that same year as the Million Man March. So a lot of brothers got out and walked out 5 o'clock in the morning, marched down, to the Capitol just to be in the numbers.
Yeah.
So again, it was a great experience.
Powerful, man. What was it? I mean, was the goal always to have a career behind them? I mean, holding the mic. Was that always the case?
Yeah, man. Seeing my aunt perform, just a little backstory for those that don't know, she's a member of the 3 Degrees, and they are the longest running female vocal trio in music history. They have been performing since 1963, every year somewhere in the world. And they have a more European and Japanese following than here. So they're known. In the 70s, they had a big hit called When Will I See You Again that was produced by Gamble and Huff. And they also did the vocals for TSOP, The Sound of Philadelphia, which is the theme song to Soul Train. So do.
Oh, really? That's them?
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
They were like the Destiny's Child of their era. So in the 70s, they were Prince Charles's favorite pop group. So the British press stated that. They did a command performance at his 30th birthday party, and they were the only Americans other than former First Lady Nancy Reagan to attend the royal wedding of Prince Charles and Princess Diana.
Wow.
So again, they were the Destiny's Child of their time. 3 glamorous women. They were a group. They could sing harmony, sing and dance at the same time. As much as Destiny's Child is compared to Diana Ross and the Supremes here in the States, they're compared to the 3 Degrees in England and parts of Europe.
Wow. So how many years did they perform?
Next year will be their 60th year.
Oh, they still performing?
They still performing, never stopped.
Wow, so she's still getting that money.
Still getting it in.
Getting that bag. That's what's up.
Yeah, man. So they did a concert in London back in 1979. It's on YouTube. It's at the Royal Albert Hall, and it was broadcast on the BBC. And so seeing that concert just mesmerized me. When my parents went over there to catch up, every week or every 2 weeks, you sit the little kid in the room to watch cartoons. I was just watching that video and just studying the music, and they were backed by a 100-piece orchestra. They had their own hits, but they were also known for covering a lot of other songs, like pop and jazz songs, either on albums or in their show. And so between them and the Delfonics, it gave me an appreciation for like a lot of the standard songs and standard classics of that time. And so it just gave me, it was a wide palette of music to listen to, other than, my dad was playing Earth, Wind and Fire in Chicago and Stevie Wonder in the house, and we're in Philly. So you're constantly hearing the OJs and Boyz II Men and all that on the radio as well. So it was just a lot of music to kind of inhale and listen to growing up.
So you were a fan of that music from day one?
Yeah, just a fan of music overall. And then, of course, we go through our Prince and Michael Jackson phases and stuff like that. And just, growing up, that's all I've ever wanted to do. But seeing that concert again of my aunt performing, that's what inspired me to be a performer. Wow.
So did you ever perform with your aunt?
No. They operate very strictly. So they were always taught not to let family involved in the operation. So that's something that they still kind of stick by to this.
Oh man, not even one song. Come on.
Nah, man. They run a tight ship and always have and always will.
Wow.
So, but it would be an honor, but like I said, it's one of those, it's like I wish. But once I got to Howard, diving into the jazz department there and just listening to more stuff that I didn't listen to in high school and that I missed out on. And all of it was music before I was born. However, it just opened me up more musically, and it was just an amazing time.
Is that where you got into jazz? That was at Howard?
Yeah.
Wow. So, that's, most cats, in that age group, man, they're not really tapping into jazz like that. How did you, how did you get exposed to it?
Well, when you got to Howard trying to be a music major, you have either two options. You can do classical or jazz. So jazz, I knew I wanted to do R&B all my life. So jazz was the closest thing you could really get to it, and so it's improvisation, it's free flowing, it's different vibes to it. So it was just, I just chose jazz versus classical.
So do you play an instrument too?
No, I just sing, and I have a good ear for harmony and vocal arrangements. So a lot of the stuff on my own music, I arrange myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So were you one of those cats that was in all the talent shows and whatnot growing up as a kid and at Howard?
Not so much. I didn't really do a lot of the shows. I just really did a lot with the gospel choir. With Howard Gospel Choir being on campus, we rehearsed 6 hours a week. So every Monday and Thursday from 7 to 10. And then we would have some engagements on certain weekends. Sometimes we would travel to other, cities within New York and Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, VA, et cetera. During my time, we didn't take any long trips. I think my last year, they went to the Virgin Islands and I wasn't able to go. But so that was a trip I wish I could have taken, but my parents were like, nope, you got to stay there on campus. We can't afford that flight right now. So,
wow.
Yeah, but that kept me busy. And being in the Howard Gospel Choir was a training that you just can't duplicate. It strengthened my ear for music, strengthened my retention of parts and things of that nature, and just being able to remember, and that stuff is still embedded in me. If we did a Howard Gospel Choir reunion concert right now, and just on the first chord, I would just know what to do. It's still with me.
It's like that. That's crazy, man. So, now you got, internationally known singles. What does that feel like to, to have, to be not just known like, in the US, but in other countries?
It's a great feeling. As a creator, you never know the impact that your music is going to have. And so me being around so many people, in my family or other people that I've, known it's good to get those stories that, people would always say, oh, that we got married to that song. That was our first dance. That song was played here, and that song touched my heart at this point in my life. So it's good to kind of get those kind of stories right now. I released a song last year called Don't Throw Our Love Away, which was probably the biggest song that did well for me internationally, especially in England. And I was talking with a UK radio presenter and DJ, and he messaged me and said, hey, man, I love the new song. Thanks. Glad that we're connected on Facebook. He said, I DJ'd a wedding last week, and somebody actually came up to me and requested your song Words, which was my very first single. And he said, I put it on, and about maybe 5 or 6 couples got out there, and like 3 of them were all singing the words to it. He said they really knew it. And I was like, really? Because Words didn't really do as well. It did. It's known in terms of it got some extra legs for being on a UK compilation, but it didn't get a lot of airplay like Dance the Night Away or Don't Throw Our Love Away did. So for someone to request it at a wedding and slow dance and sing the words to it, that kind of story, that just made my day when I heard that. So it's good to have music out there now that people know, and I'm just trying to, keep it coming as much as possible.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. So when you say it didn't do as well, like, are we talking like how many records? Do you know how many records were sold or streamed? Can you provide numbers?
Streams are still growing. I haven't kept up with the streams as much because I kind of, as an artist right now, I'm promoting the music from my website because I'm trying to get the more direct download and the profit directly. So people are streaming my stuff. It's growing gradually. I mean, it's hard as an indie artist, but I'm basing that basically in terms of radio airplay. And so Words didn't get a lot of airplay in the UK. It was picked up on a compilation. Some people played it, but not as many as they did when they heard Dance the Night Away. They just fell in love with that. Dance the Night Away got played on the BBC, which was terrestrial radio in England, the biggest network, you can get on. So that was a true testament. It was actually played by a presenter over there that played a lot of my aunt's records in the 70s. So that was a good testament. So Dance the Night Away was my second single, and that was the one. It went to number 10 on the UK Soul Chart, which is a radio chart over there. And so it got a lot of airplay when it was released. So that's what I'm saying. It didn't get as much success as the others. But,
wow, I mean, that's
people know
some pretty cool stuff, man, to be able to have that impact. So, I mean, so I would take it that you're being international, man. Is that like would you rather be more popular internationally or rather be more popular like at home? Like, what is that like?
I think you want the best of both worlds, but you kind of see where things are, and it's a matter of what's, let's just put it like this. The music as an indie artist, and with soul music in particular, the European and Japanese audiences appreciate our music more than we do here in the States. And so it's a little easier to get known abroad than it is here. Terrestrial radio, if you're not from a major label, or if you didn't have that following from a major label, it's hard to get on terrestrial radio. Just from
you said
paying for
radio. What's that?
Terrestrial radio is the radio in your car, so the big station. Okay. So if you're in DC, HUR, Magic 102.3, KISS, WPGC, just to reference DC radio. That's terrestrial radio, anything in your car. Satellite radio is a little easier, but internet radio is easier to get on here because it's more international as well. Mm-hmm. But terrestrial radio, to get on those big stations, it's not like it used to be where, record companies would hire promotional reps. Like I used to intern at Radio 1 back when I was at Howard. And Tuesdays at that time used to be record release day, or every time new music always came out on Tuesdays. Now the day is Friday. But Sony, Universal, Warner, they had reps in the DC area to kind of cover radio stations from, I would say, the top of Maryland all the way to North Carolina. And so they would go to the radio stations, like say you're the program director and you're It's like, okay, I work at Sony. All right, hey, I got a new Ashley Scott record. Tell me what you think. You play it. All right, I like it. I'm gonna add it to the rotation. That's how records used to get on. Now it's like a totally different ballgame. It's just not that way anymore. You need big budgets, to get on radio here in the States, versus over there to hire a record promoter. It's a little bit less than the States, but you get more bang for your buck, and they also appreciate the music more. So they'll keep you in rotation. You may not get airplay every day, but you might get something, once the song kind of runs its course.
Wow. So music has changed a lot, since you first started. How is that balancing the business of music with the art?
Well, I have my own label, so it's a full-time job. It is a full-time job. While it's good to have a team, and you do need a team, sometimes you have to kind of do everything yourself. So as an indie artist, my advice for anybody that's an indie artist, you have to be in control of your own destiny. You have to be your own producer, and you have to be your own project manager. And one thing my professor from Howard, the late Webster Lewis, he was a jazz pianist. He worked with Barry White, and he actually produced Here's Looking Up to You for Michael Wyckoff, which was later sampled by John A. for Hey Mr. DJ. So he always taught us, don't ever go after a major record deal, because a record deal is nothing but a credit card. What they pay out, you will pay back. So he said to be independent and own your own masters, and have your own label. And now, thank God for the internet, it's made it a little easier to kind of do that, because everything is at our fingertips. I can just press a button and my music will be on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Tidal, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow, that's amazing. So you produce all your own music yourself?
I have co-producers or songwriters that I work with, but all of my music I've definitely co-produced. I have live instrumentation on all of my records except the dance remixes. So that is me hiring the right musicians to play the music, the singers to bring in to bring out the best vocal, arranging the harmonies. So I am co-producing all of this stuff.
What was it like to share the stage with Bilal and Marcus Johnson and Take Six?
Great opportunities to be on a bill with them. You can't ask for anything more. Some of them were festivals, some of them were nightclubs where I was like opening act, doing a couple songs before, like say Bilal came on. Marcus Johnson, I used to work on his team. He's a Howard alum. He actually taught at Howard for a little bit. He did a show in DC one time, said, hey, come on out and jam with us. So got out there and jammed with him in the band for a second. So, hey, man, just fun times whenever you can share your gift.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, man. Especially when you go from reading about people or hearing about them, and then next thing you know, you on the stage with them. That's pretty cool. So in terms of right now, like what is your focus right now? Like what are some of the projects you're working on and things you got coming up?
So in 2022, February 11th, I just released a brand new single called Together. And it was released the Friday before Valentine's Day, which was on a Monday. And that was definitely strategic marketing on that portion, because Together is a ballad and it's a love song, and it's actually a wedding song. So I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm a night owl and I stay up late at night and there's nothing good on TV. And me being the music person that I am, I'm glued to the TV with these Time Life infomercials. Mm-hmm. And you see all these compilations of best of the 70s, best duets, best 80s and 90s, and soft rock and R&B. And I'm looking at all those songs, and my goal is always to record timeless music, but I was just strategic with this because I wanted to write a wedding song, almost in the vein of like Kenny Lattimore, who's a Howard alum, for you, Tony Terry, When I'm With You, Stevie Wonder, You and I wanted something that people could have a first dance to or walk down the aisle to. And those are some of the most timeless songs. So my best friend, who's a multi-instrumentalist, he plays keys, bass, and guitar. He played guitar on all of my records. His name is Stan Davis Jr. And he helped me produce the song Together. And we have a full orchestra on the song. We have live strings and horns. The horn section, they all play with John Legend. And the horns and strings were arranged by a guy named Dennis Doc Williams, who's a longtime musical director for the OJs. So we wanted it to sound classic Philadelphia and timeless at the same time. So We dropped a song on Valentine's Day, and right now it's number 20 on the UK soul charts, and it's number 10 in Italy.
Wow.
And it's way up, here in the States on some radio charts as well. So,
wow, man! Congratulations on the success.
Thanks, man. So,
welcome to the Go Fish Village podcast. As a Chinese proverb says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. At Go Fish, our goal is to teach individuals just like you how to build wealth through real estate. So
this is
go ahead.
I was gonna say this is my 7th single to date, and I'm working on a remix for it as well. So,
man, what is it like, making a living as an artist in that soul jazz arena? What is that like?
It has its ups and downs. You have periods where things are busy, and then you have dry periods. You have to be multifaceted in this business. So I don't just rely on the performing and the music to kind of make a living. I mean, I do perform private affairs and everything of that nature, but I'm also performing in clubs, and I also work on the business side. So I work with a few artists on their business teams that's like doing admin type stuff and social media management. So I work with Will Downing. I work with Najee. I used to work with Marcus Johnson. So I stay pretty busy. I used to produce events as well. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So you
yeah.
So you on both sides, man. That's pretty dope. Tell me about the nonprofit that you founded.
So the Artists United was founded about almost 20 years ago. My partner Lox Knox and I were doing a lot of things here in Philadelphia, working in various aspects of the business, and people were coming to us as resources. And Philly, like other towns, has a lot of cliques, but we weren't a part of anybody's clique. So we just put a nonprofit membership-based organization together for our community here in Philadelphia, because people were asking us a lot of questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? Do you know this person? Do you know that person? And we decided to educate them on the industry and bringing area professionals, radio hosts, managers, record company staff members to kind of lecture to the audience. And so we did that for about 5 or 6 years. It went from a physical event to a virtual event. We produced a jam session. We were the first people to kind of live stream events here in Philly as well. We did a biweekly jam session back in 2010. And I don't know if you know, but a lot of major artists have Philly musicians in their bands, whether it's Lady Gaga, Common, Adele, and Jill Scott. So when all the musicians were on the road, they were live streaming our event to see what was going on back at home. Mm-hmm. And so we just did a lot with the nonprofit. We also turned it into a program for the youth called iCare, Internet Culture, Arts, Recreation, and Entertainment. And it's iCare Academy. And so we took the same program into the high schools, and we taught it at the high school, showed them how to produce an event. We were awarding area people in honor of W.E.B. Du Bois for Black History Month. So that's what the Artists United is about. And I also started a educational platform that I'm in the process of launching called the Soulful Sound Series, which was a tribute show that I was doing. We would just pick different artists and have independent artists come in and kind of cover their songs, here in Philly. And so I decided to turn it into an R&B platform for soul music. But I actually started a radio show that I produce weekly, and it's available on my website. It's called Soulful Sounds Radio, and I'm playing a lot of independent soul and classic and contemporary soul as well. So you'll hear the Bruno Mars or the Beyonce, but you'll also hear Will Downing and Layla Hathaway and Avery Sunshine and independent artists that you may not have heard of on the show.
Wow. And so who are like your biggest influences when it comes to music?
I would say everybody from Philadelphia, as well as Michael Jackson, Prince, Luther, New Edition. In terms of producers, Gamble and Huff, everybody from Motown, Jammin' Lewis, Babyface, a lot of the contemporary Philly producers like Carvin and Ivan, who produced all the Music Soul Child stuff, Dre and Vidal, Keith Pelzer and Darren Henson, my good friend Marcus Bryant. So I like everything, man.
Wow. So Philly's been a big influence on you.
I'm all about creating my own legacy, but being a part of bigger legacies is not a bad thing to say. So to be a part of the Philadelphia music legacy and to be a part of the Howard University music legacy are things that I carry with me in high regard.
So at Howard, were you one of those guys that was walking around campus singing?
Yeah, especially that first week when I first got there, because that's what got the attention of the ladies. So, hey, got to. All ladies like being serenaded, and I was doing that my first week there.
Oh, you had the cheat code.
Yeah. I wasn't an athlete, so don't give me a basketball or football, but I could sing to them.
Oh, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. So, you said you haven't been back to Howard in about 10 years?
No, well, I've been back, but just not for homecoming.
Okay.
I was actually there in November on campus, and I'll probably be going back in a couple of weeks. So I'll be in DC like the last week of March. So just working some events and things. But I plan to stop on campus. Anytime I'm in DC, I just go on campus just to walk around and inhale the memories.
What advice would you give yourself to the 18-year-old Ashley coming into Howard right now?
Man, just be you and don't be afraid of anything. Be original and to believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. That's what I would tell them. There are some things that I don't necessarily talk about, nothing deep. Like I had an opportunity for an internship once in my last semester, and I couldn't take it because they didn't call me till a day before I was supposed to report back to Howard. So it was like my parents had paid for the semester already, and I couldn't go another one. So I couldn't take that internship, but I often wonder what life would have been like had I taken that internship.
What type of internship was it?
It was at a record label.
Oh, okay.
So, but they called a day before I'm leaving for DC and a week before classes start. Yeah, you just got accepted into this internship here in New York. And
what year was this? This was like
this was 99.
This was your senior year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, I wish I could come. You called me kind of short notice and the semester's already paid for it, so I couldn't do it. So I often wonder what life would have been like had I taken that. But I mean, I've had a good life, so I'm not totally,
Yeah.
But I just, you just kind of wonder. So that's the only thing I kind of look back on those Howard years.
What, if people want to like download your music or support you in some type of way, follow you on social media, how do people go about doing it?
So you can go to my website, ashleyscottmusic.com, and I have everything right there. You can listen to the radio show. It's a lot of episodes, so it's a lot, hours and hours of music to listen to. You can go to the music store, and download all of my 7 singles thus far. I have a merchandise store with hoodies and sweatshirts and t-shirts and things of that nature as well. So, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at AshleyScott3. On TikTok, it's Ashley Scott Music. And you can go to Facebook.com/I am Ashley Scott and like the Facebook page and keep up with what I'm doing there as well.
Nice, man. So you gonna hit us with a little ballad, a little stanza, some bars. You got some bars for us?
Some bars, okay. Baby, don't throw our love away. It should grow and grow every day. Don't throw our love away today, 'cause our love is here to stay. There you go.
Ashley Scott, yo, man, that's what's up. I might have to get you to Chicago, bruh.
Brother, let's do it, man. I'm trying to do some shows out there. I'm trying to take the show on the road. So let's talk after we go off air.
That's dope, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show, brother. I really appreciate your time today.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. It's good to do anything for HU,
Sure. HU,
Thank you for joining the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the Howard legacy at the highest levels. To hear more interviews or purchase merchandise, please visit www.humovemakers.com.